CeeLo Productions presents Backstage Access. I'm your co-host, Scott Lowe.
And I'm your co-host, Tony Gonzalez.
And in this podcast, we discuss all things in the world of Christian music and entertainment. All right. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Backstage Access. This week, we have the band XIII Minutes. How you doing, fellas?
Great. How you doing?
We are great. Thank you so much for being here and for hanging out with us and just kind of spending a little bit of your evening with us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. We really appreciate you taking your time out to talk to us, man. This is awesome.
So whoever just wants to start, kind of walk us through, what is your personal testimony? We'll get into the band here in a minute, but, just kind of starting out, what is each of your guys' personal testimony, man? What's your guys' story?
God, I think between the three of us, we could probably take up the whole hour with that.
Go for it.
Well, I guess I'll start. The short version, I was a poor kid. No, but no, the truth was I was a poor kid. I grew up in a heathen home. My mom was... She had an affinity for drugs and alcohol, and we lived in poverty. And Jesus Christ was more of a swear word in my home. I was not churched, and so really I didn't have any basis or any kind of framework of religion of any sort. And once you probably heard the story before. Cute girl asked boy to church, boy follows cute girl. And then Jesus shows up.
You know what? That's not the first time we've heard this on the podcast,
right?
I didn't figure as much, but there was a guy. His name is Jim Calhoun, and Jim was really fascinating figure to me. He was an Olympic wrestler who also he left. He was on his way to the Olympic trials and then he got the call to ministry. And for me as a young athlete, I was like, you left going to the Olympics to come do this. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But I was intrigued. Why would he indeed? And so I followed this guy. I was like, I want to know more about the amount of lunacy this guy has. And while I followed him around and I listened to these things called sermons and listened to about this guy named Jesus, I became intrigued. But more than that, Jim did something that a kid like me didn't get to experience very often. He actually showed an interest in, he really honestly didn't judge this kid from the wrong side of the tracks. And then one day he gave an altar call, and this day was different than all the other days. And I felt compelled very much that day to stand up and answer. And what happened next, I'll just say, a lot of people would think I'm absolutely nuts and crazy if I told you everything that happened, but that was the day that I met Jesus. And that was the day that I learned that I wasn't alone in this world by myself. Now, I will also say that is the day that I knew Jesus as Savior, but it would be many more years before I would know Jesus as Lord. I have the typical church hurt story. As much as I loved that man that introduced me to Jesus, I was also in a place in this church where there was, some very severe jealousy and division, and killed a lot of kids' faith and some things that happened afterwards. And church hurt was a real thing. And I kind of said, well, if this is what being a Christian is about, I don't want to do this stuff. So followed and pursued my heart, sex, drugs, rock and roll, and about destroyed myself in the process. And then one day, my world got really quiet and I could hear the voice of God once again. And I had a simple prayer in this moment. And I said, God, here's the truth. I don't like your people. I said, but I want to know you. If you will show me who you are, really show me who you are, I will follow you the rest of my days. And at that point, I really didn't have anything to lose in life. And, I haven't looked back since that day. So a lot more to that story that I could tell, but in the short version, that is it. Heathen kid follows girl, meets Jesus, falls away, and then ends up, committing his life fully down the road. So there you go.
That's awesome.
Now you lead your own cult. Well, yeah, now I lead my own cult here. There's another story behind that one, too. Preston, you want to go?
Sure. I'm going to give y'all the best run at it, man. I sound like I don't know, man. Temperatures outside, man, is getting to me. So if y'all
sound amazing.
I do sound amazing. Thank you. Good. I sound like I'm crying this whole time. I'm really not crying.
Yes, you are.
All right, I am. Hey, listen, man, my story is kind of different from what Jamie told you. I was raised in the church all my life, and at a young age, I got baptized and saved. And I knew Jesus, quite well. My mom taught me everything I knew, and she was very knowledgeable in the Bible. I think for me, my testimony is how it saved my dad more. I got to experience Jesus more, seeing what happened to him, because when him and my mom first got together, he was a real bad alcoholic and stuff and into drugs like that. And, I got to experience a lot of that when I was younger. And, it wasn't until I was older that, I was able to develop a good relationship with him. And, I've had my share of addictions and share of falling away and all that. We all rebel at some point or another, and thank God for grace. But I think, just watching the transformation that happened to my dad and all that, that was the big Jesus is real for me. And, we were constantly in church, and, church is where I discovered I wanted to play music, as I was watching the drums happen. And, I fell in love with it from that point on. So, I've definitely had my struggles growing up. I got really addicted to a lot of things that, most young men get addicted to. And, it went into a part of my adult life too. And, it was hard to kick, but, by the grace of God, he saved me. And, he has to save me every day. It's just, we're imperfect human beings, but, like I said, when it came to watching the transformation that happened to my dad, and seeing where he is today, and man, it's just that's the transformation story for me. And, that was just, I'm so thankful every day that, we have that relationship now. And, we were able to move past it because, we didn't have a relationship for a long time, well up into my teens. And so, that's a true blessing for me. That's really my testimony in a nutshell, kind of the short version. We can always tell more, of stuff we've experienced, but that was the big thing for me. And so I appreciate y'all listening. I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Thomas over here.
Yeah. Amen, man. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
I would say my testimony, somewhat on the same lines these guys had, a bit different. I was actually raised in a Catholic church, altar boy, but I wasn't ever really taught a lot about faith. I really was just kind of more of, let's go through the motions. Let's go to church, kind of more for appearance. Let's say the right things, do the right things. But I definitely say I never knew Jesus. Probably whenever I was 12, 13, I completely I didn't buy in anymore. Started looking up paganism, Wicca, things like that. Fell off on my own thing, and I did that for quite some time. Led a life definitely led by the flesh. Just any kind of temptations, any kind of instant gratification, I was going after it. And that's just how, I justified it and felt like I was owed that. It wasn't until I hit rock bottom and started hurting a lot of people and really, really stopped and saw what I was doing to the people that I so-called loved or whatever, that I realized that something had to change. So we'll fast forward to my wife. She actually sings on the first album on Out of Time. And she was telling me, she's like, hey, we're doing a CD release party. If you want to make it, you can go, but you don't have to. I know it's not your thing. And so I was like, okay, I'll go to just, support you. But yeah, you're right. It's not my thing. So I went to the 13 Minutes CD release party. They had one in Oklahoma City, but I went to the one in Tulsa and Fort Smith. And I would say wasn't expecting anything to happen there. And honestly, I will say, like, the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the fellowship, everything that people were talking, no one was shoving faith, religion, Jesus, nothing. No one was shoving that down my throat. It was just people having a good time and legitimately
acting as servants towards each other. And I remember telling my wife, I was like, there's something here, you know, I don't know what it is, but there's something here that I want. I feel like I need to be a part of this. And so I asked her, I said, hey, does Jamie need a second guitarist? And she's like, well, you know, their bass player is only a temp. You might ask him. So I called Jamie, and he's like, you do realize what kind of music we play, right? Well, actually, let me back out. My wife talked to Jamie. I was too much of a chicken. I was like, can you see if he'll let me play in the band, guys? So, see if he'll let me come over and play. I want to play. So she set it up. She's like, yeah, he said he'll meet with you, but you do realize what kind of music they play. I was like, yeah, I do. So we met up at Starbucks. We had like 3 or 4 cappuccinos. We were pretty wired, and we talked for like 2.5 hours. And, you know, he gave me every excuse to leave and every excuse to turn away. And he was very upfront and honest about everything. He's like, you know, you will never have full membership in this band, you know, until you can confess that, you know, Christ is Lord and Savior and everything. So I was like, no, that's fine, but I still feel like I need to be a part of this. So I jumped on the bandwagon legitimately for about 7 or 8 shows. I do have to at least tell the audio feed story, though.
You can tell the audio feed story. Yeah.
So we all went to audio feed, and I mean, just again, kind of blown away the camaraderie. And it's funny because Jamie was like, you know, something big's going to happen to you on this trip. I just know it. I know it. And so when I first joined up, and you know, as a temp bassist, I bought a bass rig and just a crummy old bass that had a short in it and everything else. And met up with some of the guys from audio feed the next day at the hotel. And literally had this one guy came up. He's like, is that your bass? I said, yeah. He's like, okay, I'll be right back. And he came back and he gifted me a brand new Fender Squier, like bass and like this amazing case. I mean, this bass had to cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Like he just gave it to me. He's like, God told me to give this to someone. He's like, I just feel compelled to give it to you. Nice. And I was blown away. I even went back up to the hotel room, and Jamie's like, so what do you have there? And I was like, dude, some guy just gave this to me. He's like, I told you something was going to happen. And honestly, after walking with them, I started going to church. My wife and I started going to church on the move. If she had already been going, I jumped on. And I remember the very first sermon, the topic was, why are you here? And I messaged all the guys in the band. I was like, did you guys tell them I was here or I was coming? He's like, why are you in this place? And honestly, since then, I haven't looked back. I've literally just opened my heart and everything, and God has done some wonderful things in my life. I just, I quit smoking, I quit drinking, and I just literally try to live for others now. It's a much more fulfilling way to be. So sorry if I took up the whole hour.
No, man, you got plenty of time, brother.
Thank you so much for sharing.
And Jamie let me play. I let him play.
Yeah. So thank you guys for sharing. And, but I'm curious. So the 3 of you, I know, it was Thomas, I believe, who, had mentioned, you know, that he had his wife, talk to Jamie and try, to get into the band. But how initially,
bring that up again.
I want to play in the band too. Dude, that is so awesome.
Oh man, dude, this is already turning out to be one of the funnest podcasts.
Right.
So
I love these guys, man.
But how did the band initially start? Like, how did that come about? And I'm really curious to how you came up with the name 13 Minutes.
Oh, that is the question of all questions. Well, full disclosure, I'm the only founding member left in the band. It has been a long journey from there to here, but I was in a band here in the Tulsa area called Far From Sanity. And we were hustling for about 5 years, and we befriended Sean Browning of, at that point, Rottweiler Records / Grave Robber. And Sean and I became great friends. And at one point, Sean approached me about the idea of joining up with or coming aboard Rottweiler Records. And we're like, yeah. So, but he laid out some mandates. Said, this is my expectations of what I want to see from you guys if we move ahead with this. And I'm like, dude, I'm all in. So we had a band meeting. Band semi-agreed on everything. We went into the studio to start creating our first album. Nice. And it's funny, the guy that was going to engineer and produce us set us down before the recording began, and he said these words. He said, the studio will show you everything you are and everything that you aren't, and most people don't make it out. Wow. I was like, well, that's kind of a depressing way to start, but man, he was
You're talking about a motivation speech.
Well, we fractured pretty quick because the studio was a stress point, and by the end of the year, we parted ways with our vocalist at the time. And our vocalist, he was the guy that was really, I guess you would say, the founding member of Far From Sanity. His name really, even though the rest of us stayed together, he carried the name. So we regrouped and we recruited a new vocalist, and we went back into the studio. At this point, we were looking for a new band name, and as we were all talking, we knew that a couple things needed to happen. One, we wanted something that had some depth. We wanted something that would engage conversation, and so boom. And number 3, we didn't want it to be cheesy. So we started talking. We went through a lot of different names, and I used to be a personal trainer. And we were talking about, I don't even remember how we got on the conversation, but we were talking about just God, creating he's the person 3 parts, the body, soul, spirit. And we started going down the rabbit hole of conversation like, well, one of the biggest things people have issue with is time. They don't have time to work out. And I don't have time to read my Bible. I don't have time to do this, or I don't have time to do that. And in the fitness world, there's a baseline rule. If you want to be baseline physically fit, you need to exercise 90 minutes a day, or 90 minutes a week, pardon me. And so well, what does that break down to? 90 minutes a week. And so we took 90 divided by 7, came up with 13 minutes a day of exercise is all you need to be baseline physically fit. So keep going down the rabbit hole. I wonder if the creator of this physical body works that way in the spiritual plane. We hear all the time, I just don't have time to read my Bible. I don't have time to pray. I'm like, well, do you have 13 minutes a day? I think we all got 13 minutes a day. We can waste 13 minutes on social media pretty easily, television. Yep. Fill in the blank, 13 minutes goes by really fast. So really the legitimate thought behind it is we all have 13 minutes a day that we can give to being physically fit, spiritually fit. And initially it became our calling card with one another. So if one of us was going through something, the first question that we would always ask is, you get your 13 minutes in every day? And we found that was a really good baseline to understand, maybe that they weren't doing and let me just transition that to me. Maybe I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing each day to take on the battles that we're going to be facing every day. I wasn't working on my personal strength, things of that nature. So it became an accountability call initially. And so 13 minutes became our band name. Now, along the way, we've found out some really unique things about just the number 13. Every 13 minutes a day, somebody in America commits suicide. And that's a pretty sobering statistic. Another one is every 13 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer. Another sobering statistic. From the time you hear tornado sirens to the time it touches down is 13 minutes.
Wow.
Exactly. Now, if you're not really feeling in a depressive mood or you don't want to really go deep, well, it takes 13 minutes to cook an omelet. It takes 13 minutes to cook pizza rolls.
The microwave.
Are we talking microwave or oven here? Okay.
Oven, Thomas.
Trust me, I'm the pizza.
I was going to say I can knock it out in 5.
Burn your mouth too. You get the coal
right?
on the outside.
Burn your mouth.
They're kind of soft though.
Well, at the end of the day, it was our accountability call for one another, but it was also that place that we wanted people to go, hey, what's that mean? And it opens a door for conversation. And depending on where you're coming from in life, we'll walk through that door. But the point of it is, for us, we want to build connection with the people who come up to speak with us. And so we usually let them open the door. The door is, hey, what's 13 minutes mean? We kind of go in a general conversation, and then they start telling stories. And so we know where they're going to direct us in this conversation and how we can connect further with them.
Wow. That's awesome. That is the coolest explanation of a band name I've ever heard, dude. That is awesome. Really awesome, man.
That's the basis of the name. It became part of our culture, and
wow.
We enjoy every time somebody asks that question.
That is so cool, man. That is wow. That's really awesome. I've never heard an explanation of a band name like that before. That's really cool, man. You guys put
I can go down this rabbit hole all day. I've researched out so many trails on this, and it's just funny, just all the things that God has done just with 13 minutes.
Yeah, it's time to talk.
I could look across the table at his face,
and I'm reading,
and I could tell that he was about ready to get into it.
I'm going to pick on Jamie first. Jamie, who are your influences, man? Talk to me.
Well, it used to pain me to say this because he takes a lot of credit about a lot of stuff, but I'm probably not who I am without Lars Ulrich.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I would like to tell you that I have a lot of Christian influences, but the truth is not growing up in church. That was not my early influences.
Okay. It's okay.
I cut my teeth early on with the big four: Megadeth, Anthrax, Metallica, and Slayer.
My heart's thumping.
I really came of age in the mid to late 90s during the new metal movement, Slipknot, Korn, and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the guys. David Silveria really made me want to play drums. Lars Ulrich, of course, made me want to play drums. Charlie Benante from Anthrax.
Nice.
Made me want to play drums. Mike Borden from Faith No More made me want to play drums.
Okay.
But the ultimate influence above it all was Peter Criss.
Oh, okay.
The Kiss Alive 2 album. Anybody that liked, anything about live shows at any point, all they got to do is open that sleeve and see that 9-foot riser with that big massive drum kit and all the flames.
Right.
And at least for me, I was like, that's what I want to do with my life. I'm going to do it.
Right.
And now, of course, hindsight's always 20/20. I don't think Peter Criss is a great drummer, but he definitely influenced a generation of drummers.
Yeah.
And then, of course, but I say my early hero was definitely Charlie and Lars.
Nice.
So.
Nice. Awesome, man. Yeah. Both those drummers are amazing. I have a really deep love for Charlie Benante. He's
so good. And Indians is such a, you cannot listen to Cotton and Moss Indians on the volume.
Right. I mean, man, what he did on Indians was just, man, I was like, this guy's so freaking good, man. He is amazing. But it's kind of funny you mentioned Peter Criss, because I've asked, the influences of a lot of other bands on the podcast, and I can't count how many times people say Peter Criss. I was like, right on, man. That's awesome.
Hey, he was ahead of his time in terms of, Kiss gets a lot of hate, and
they get a lot of love though too, bro.
They do get a lot of love, but they were 3 chords and a lot of rock and roll.
Right,
there was nothing intricate or complicated about what they did, but they made it work well for the time that they found themselves in.
Right,
and so, they did a lot of things before anybody else did.
Right.
And so with that, I just got to tip my hat and say, hey, without them, there's a lot of other artists that don't exist. Now, it wouldn't be fair of me to really speak of those, but not speak of really our forerunners. And I would say, as a Christian, when I really started taking this thing seriously, the first album that really turned my head was Living Sacrifices, The Hammering Process.
Okay.
And you want to talk about drummers, you got to go listen to Lance Garvin.
Nice.
You have to, period. And the Hammering Process is to this day still a masterpiece. And then, of course, Demon Hunter, big influence on me and what I do. So those are definitely were two of my very early, I guess I would say, Christian influences. Of course, Yogi Watts is just a beast of a drummer.
Nice.
And, Demon Hunter's got just an amazing catalog of music. So yeah, can't not tip my hat to Lance and Yogi.
Right. Awesome, man. Well, thank you for that, bro. I appreciate it. So, who am I going to pick on next? How about Thomas?
What I do?
You didn't do anything wrong.
Well, depends on what you say.
Right.
We'll see.
It's true.
Right. So who's your influences, buddy?
My influences, I'd say definitely a lot of secular stuff. I started, of course, I was born in '82. I was raised on a lot of the hair metal bands. Probably my favorite was Iron Maiden. Just the crazy compositions that they came up with, but also with a lot of the imagery too. Just the different ways that they used Eddie, and then like their live production was just so insane that I just kind of got sucked into a lot of that. When I actually started playing guitar, though, I'd say Marilyn Manson was definitely one of my first ones. I really loved just the hard, just crunchy, powerful guitars, but also like the really creepy vibes that went along with it. That you'll probably actually hear in some of the newer songs too, some of the influences from that. Nice. But a lot of it too was, you had Manson, Godsmack, Ministry, Fear Factory. Just a lot of just the really, people who just play power riffs and industrial and creepiness. That was a lot of mine. That encompasses everything.
Oh, nice. Okay. Awesome. Cool.
You are up, Preston.
All right, Mr. Preston.
All right, man. So back when I was younger, I didn't know a whole lot about any of the hard rock scene. When I was young, Mom raised me on a lot of contemporary Christian music, and that's all I knew that existed when I was younger.
Okay.
And which is not a bad thing, which, I like some of it nowadays. But what got me into my hard rock roots is I was out mowing lawns one day and raised myself a little money, and Mom took me into this Christian music store in Shawnee, Oklahoma called Living Word Bookstore. And I walked in and I saw a couple of things that really intrigued me. One was a band called East West, A Light in Guinevere's Garden. Man, the artwork of this album, I'd never seen nothing like it. And it just, it caught my eye, and I just picked it up on a whim. I didn't even know what it was. And as I made my way down, I saw another album that had 4 guys standing on the front of it with dreadlocks and tattoos and stuff like that. And I was like, what is this stuff? And this is in a Christian music store. And so that album happened to be Satellite by POD, which is one of the first hard rock albums that I fell in love with. And by this time I had already started dabbling in drums as far as playing in church. And then what really got me into guitar, I guess I have to tip my hat to Marcos from POD for the riffs that he pumped out on that album. I really got intrigued with guitar, and I owe a lot to that band for everything because, Wov's an amazing drummer. And so they were definitely a big part of my start in the hard rock scene. And then, I was watching Christian music videos on TBN one time, and I saw Best Kept Secret by Skillet. That was the first video that got me into Skillet. And so Trey McClurkin, as I pressed on into drums, I liked how he mixed the electronic elements with the drums. And so I kind of followed suit into playing drums, when I got into Skillet more. And, as I went on down, I found the secular side of things, the Creeds, the Chevelles, the Seven Dust, Korn, like they said, a lot of the stuff Thomas mentioned a while ago,
right.
I was big fans of that.
Stop copying me.
I am copying you, man. It's amazing stuff. I think I still have a hard time with a lot of the older music. I think my favorite, if I have to go back into some older stuff, is Injustice for All from Metallica. Is one of my favorite older metal albums. That album is just solid. I don't know a lot about older music, as POD was kind of my first experience with heavy music. So then I went into Hot Topic one time, and they used to have a lot of sampler CDs in there. And man, I picked up one of they gave it to me free with a purchase. And as far as the hardcore stuff, I would have to give it to Demon Hunter and Killswitch Engage first, because that album had Infected by Demon Hunter on it, and My Last Serenade was my first experience with Killswitch Engage, and those two metal bands right there, they're really what pushed me into the hardcore scene.
Okay, right on.
And, you know, they, and those two still today are very relevant in my music listening. And then, you know, as far as punk rock, first punk rock video I ever saw was Responsibility by MXPX. So MXPX for a while was my favorite punk band. Not so much anymore, as they've kind of, I don't know, man, they've kind of exited the Christian thing and all that, and kind of, you know, started adding language and stuff in their music. So, you know, as far as new stuff, I kind of stay away from it. I kind of tend to go back to their older stuff. But anyway, man, yeah, just, you know, the Skillets and the Pillars, you know, that was the big thing that followed up. And then the Seven Dust, and, you know, we had Creed and Alter Bridge come around. And so, you know, that's Mark Tremonti's my favorite guitar player ever. I'll never be able to play like that guy, but he's still to this day a huge influence on guitar playing. Man, as far as bass players, you know, Trey from POD, you know, Brian Marshall from Creed. Brian Marshall's a monster on bass.
Right.
Just all those guys, you know. I'm not much of a slap bass guy. You know, a lot of people like Fieldy. I wouldn't say that I get too much of my bass interest from him, but man, I just you know, Green Day for a long time became my favorite band. Mike Dirnt was one of my favorite bass players for a while.
Nice. Okay.
You know, I like a lot of that stuff, but yeah, long story short, man, I could go on. You know, this is one of those rabbit holes where I can go on for days.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. It's easy too, man. There's a lot of great bass players out there, man. I mean, yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, man. That's really cool. All right. Wow. Well, cool, man. That was awesome. Thank you guys for sharing your influences, man. That's, really a fun part of the podcast for me, man. I love talking about, you know, influences. Music is powerful. What bands like yours are doing, you know, you're getting out there and you're preaching that the gospel, and you're reaching fan bases that, you know, like I said, some churches just can't reach. And that's very, very important and very special.
I think one thing that I really love about a lot of this is, like, you know, you have a lot of people that don't know how to open up for conversation. They don't know how to initiate that conversation, but when they come out to the show, everyone has something in common, right. Whether you're a believer or whether you're not. You can immediately start off with music. And that's one thing that I really love, is being able to hit them first with the music, get them interested, open up the conversation, and then that really leads to a lot deeper conversations and really helps with establishing connections. So we definitely try to go out of our way to make new connections and new family everywhere we go.
And we keep building those connections by smelling their shoes.
Yeah, that's just Preston smelled some shoes. Like, I'm not lying to you. We were playing out at Life Fest last year, and a girl brought a Croc up to get signed, and like without warning, Preston smelled the Croc.
Lasting impression, man. So don't forget it.
I've never forgotten it, and I probably won't. So I was like, "Oh, did I just see what I just saw?" And yes, I did. And then he signed the Croc.
Y'all will be happy to know that it didn't smell bad. So that's good.
Well, that's good. That's a plus.
For your sake, that's good. I could only imagine if he would have reacted if it did smell bad, what that girl would have said.
I was like, "Whoa, girl!"
Yeah, it was.
I ain't signing this at all. Take it away.
I got to pass on this one. Sorry.
Hey, get some holy water on this thing. The good thing about Crocs is they have a lot of ventilation in them. So
right.
That is true. That is true.
That's a lifesaver right there.
I will not repeat that. That you go ahead with that. No.
That's hilarious.
The funny thing
you
is,
want to talk about leaving a memory and an impression. The bass player for 13 minutes smelled my shoe.
The funny thing is you guys shared that story of him signing the shoe, and we were at a Disciple concert last month or the month. It was last month, wasn't it?
No, it was the month before.
Was it the month before?
Yeah.
And somebody took their shoe off and gave it to a Disciple at their table for each band member to sign.
Oh,
and
yeah,
when I saw it, I was like, that is so strange. I've never seen anybody like, I mean, I've seen like athletes and stuff like sign their shoes if they're giving it to a fan, but I've never seen anybody at a concert take their shoe off and give it to the band to sign. And I just thought it was so strange. And apparently that's common now.
Yeah.
But did they sniff it?
They did not sniff it.
Nope, they did not.
Got one up on him, man.
That just shows that you guys have a higher, a better love for your fans.
Right.
I don't know if that's a love or we're just doing this
Definitely screw loose.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna ask Kevin and Josiah about that when we interview them. I'm be like, hey guys, I remember you guys
remember
signed
that
a
shoe
shoe.
thing?
How come you didn't smell it? Like,
We know a guy.
Yeah, are you dedicated?
Right.
Because I'm really starting to question. Are you really a Christian? I have to share a story about Thomas.
Oh gosh. I always cringe. I was like, which one is he gonna tell?
Well, Thomas shared his story about joining up with us as a temporary bass player. Now, Thomas was not of the faith when the door was open to him. And I will just say, for me, it was obedience to the Holy Spirit. But we were wrapping up our first run with Thomas, and we were at this church playing. And so everybody just assumed we're playing in this church, so we're all in one accord. And so Thomas is just figuring out, about this thing that we do, and somebody comes up to Thomas, not really knowing his history, and asks him to pray.
You guys ever seen Sister Act?
oh
Remember how
man,
she prayed?
He's like, by the power vested in me. Thomas was like, I don't know how to pray.
I remember when Jamie first told me that story.
Yeah.
oh, man.
Speaking of uncomfortable positions,
Even though I walked through the valley of praying for this man.
Oh, that's a
yep,
good one.
he got his initiation that night. It was awesome.
I think I still did fairly well, though, all things considered.
Hey, that's how you.
I want to see their face though when he said, "By the power vested in me."
I didn't actually say that, but like that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, what do I say?
Right?
Yeah. So and Thomas is like, I don't know how to pray.
Poor guy.
Man, just going up to the new guy and just throwing him right in.
Watching God work in Thomas's life, it really has been. And I've been honored to be there really since that meeting at Starbucks, and it's been great.
That's so awesome.
That's awesome, and you can tell. I mean, just through the laughs and the interactions that we've had, you can just tell like just how close you guys are, and
Right.
just how much you each mean to each other, and for you to obey, the Holy Spirit, and just really welcome Thomas in and love on him as Christ would, and and ultimately planting that seed and just allowing you guys and God to really water that and bring him to where he's at, man. And now just listening to how you guys interact with each other, man, it's an amazing thing to hear.
Yeah. It's really cool.
It truly has been an awesome journey. But God, that's our saying around here.
Right.
I may be something or I may not be something, but God. And if we can tune in and hear the Holy Spirit voice, he doesn't fail.
Amen.
Yep. Amen.
Man, so thank you guys so much for being here with us. But for any of our listeners who maybe they haven't had a chance yet to check out your guys' music, they're not super familiar with who you guys are. Man, what's some ways that they can learn more about you guys? How can they follow you? How can they stay up to date with what's going on? Hear new music? Tell our listeners the best way that they can do that.
Well, I say the first and best is going to be the Book of Faces. You will get a real person out there on social media, and that will usually be me, myself, and I, Jamie speaking here.
Nice.
Instagram is also a place where you'll find me. Thomas will be on YouTube. He's taking over the YouTube channel. So if you want to see his pretty locks on the TV screen, he'll be on YouTube.
Glorious curls.
His glorious curls. But if you don't want to get social, Spotify is always great. I'm not going to hate on Spotify. You can get out and you can toe dip into our music catalog, and it's free. So go ahead and try it out. And if you want to buy it, we got Bandcamp is a great place to purchase our music, where you can reach out if you want physical media to me on Facebook, and we'll tell you how to get some physical media into your hands. Those are the best ways. But you just type in a Google search of XIII Minutes, and we take up I think the first 8 pages of Google now. So,
oh, wow.
And if you really want to dive deep and learn a few things before you get yourself into the experience of seeing us in person or at a live show, you can follow us on our personal pages. It gets pretty fun.
Oh, cool.
I bet it does. After this interview, right? I bet there's all sorts of things.
We love to laugh in this camp, and this is who we are, and this is what you're gonna get.
Yeah, so. It definitely shows, and it's been so much fun.
Right.
Good deal. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you for everything that you do, and just for giving 2 guys from Franklin, Indiana that nobody ever heard of, giving us your evening. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And it's been our pleasure.
Our pleasure. All on this side, brother. Thank you so much.
And hope you guys have a great night.
All right, later, fellas.
Okay,
Bye.
Later, guys.